This is Lady Myya. I have Mr. LaDell Wilson on
Yes, ma'am.
call, you guys. Understand he has a oil service business called Fast Lane Express Lube. He has a church called Next Level Christian Church. And he also has a non-profit, Generation Next. So yeah, I'm telling you, you guys, he's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful pastor. He's very slow to speak and slow to anger. So you guys, please welcome Mr. LaDell Wilson.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So appreciate your time. It's super early in the morning because sister said, okay, I'm gonna have to have at least 2 cups of coffee before I talk to anyone. So at least we got that out of the way. Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, I know I heard your story, and if you could say one word about the story that you have, what would you say that word would be?
Endurance,
And why?
because in each situation, I kept going. I kept going. No matter what was happening, I kept going. And the endurance is a word that I use in my head a lot. I mean, I say it a lot, but that's how I look at my life, is to endure. Because season's going to change. Good going to come with bad, bad going to come with good. The key to it is enduring. Keep going.
Yes. Okay. Well, you know what? Before we get into your story, because you're gonna have me lockjawed over here because I can't speak. Uh, when I say that, with the with everything that you're doing now, what is the sole purpose?
Mm. The sole purpose is I love to see people win. My thing, I love, no matter who you are and what you do, I always believe that you can win. I don't care if you just got out of prison. I don't care if you got a divorce. I don't care if you just whatever. I think there's a winner in everyone. And sometimes I think my purpose is to help them discover that in unconventional ways. And one way I do it, I like to ask hard questions, because I think when I talk to people, people love to hear, they love to hear people's stories, and that introduces you to the situation. But I like knowing the person. So in a person's story, I like to ask them, how did they feel while that was happening? While you in an abusive relationship, yeah, you got beat up, you got black eyes, but how did you feel? Because I believe that same energy you felt then is what can catapult you to start winning.
Ooh, I like that. All right, winning, winner takes all, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, if you wanted to start with your story, sir, the floor
Okay.
is yours.
Well, I was born September 10th, 1977. My mother, I stated in my keynote the other night that she wasn't supposed to have any kids, and I showed up. And it took a lot of family members to give her blood for me to be born, and I was born that day. And my life just kind of, I took some through that time. My family was together, my mother and father were together, and shortly after that they separated, and stayed apart like 5 years, got back together for about a few months, and then finally called it quits. And by that time, I think I stated before that it felt like I kept losing parts of me in those situations, to where I was kind of a shut down kid, didn't talk a lot, but I was always thinking, always was thinking a lot, but I wasn't talking much. And from that, it's just, it was a lot of pain. But now I look back at 42, I'm starting to understand why I had to go through what I went through. I've heard other people say that a lot of times, but I kept thinking, like, I don't know what I really went through. I don't know what I really went through, because, like I said before, it felt like that was just life. I felt like that's what every household is going through. So when I actually got out and started to see that everybody doesn't go through this stuff, what I'm saying? Everybody hasn't felt these things. Now I'm understanding I'm supposed to reach back and help those kids or those people that have gone through those things and show them that you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in those things.
Mm, yes, but you know what? Your endurance during that time, like, was so much, like, it was so violent,
Mm-hmm.
and kids that usually grow up in violence don't normally get three businesses, a church, a nonprofit, or anything like that. It's more so like, okay, clink clink,
Yes.
they're in a slammer. They're
Right.
not doing right. They're not, I don't know what your record is, or anything, but no record. See, no record.
Yeah.
Had to endure violence, abusive father, a mother that just tried to be as faithful as possible, staying with her husband, keeping the family together, only to not be able to do so because someone is so bitter and so unhappy with themselves that they
Yeah.
had to lash out to the closest thing to them. That is something, boy. I tell you, when you have that, and I'm finding even now that people have similar situations, but not as intense,
Mhm.
because it's like people are so hurting. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
I always say that. Hurt people hurt people. He's hurting inside. He's still trying to figure it out for himself. If he can't figure it out, that's frustration and that anger balled up into one. So how you explode is who is going to get the debris once that happens. Correct?
That is true. That is true. And when you said that, you know, like you said about the violence, I saw violence, and what I guess the part of it that really got me was it was at home violence. So when it's at home violence, your home doesn't feel safe. You know what I mean? When it's street violence or whatever, you can always go to your sanctuary, your home, and kind of turn it off. But when it's in your home, you're always on edge. You don't know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Um, my way, I used to always watch their faces when they were talking. Like if I was in my room and I hear a voice raise up, I would go out the room and act like I'm doing something so I could look at their faces to see, are they arguing? Are they happy? Or what's going on? And if they were laughing, I'd go back in my room and feel like, oh, this is a great night. You know what I mean? But it was like that kept me on edge all the time. To where at a young age, I couldn't be in crowded rooms. I would get a lot of anxiety. I would have to go to the restroom 4 or 5 times and just be messed up. In wherever there was closed situation, like it's funny, but I know in Texas we take this thing. I was taking the SAT in high school, and I got in that room, and I'm like, I can't do this test in this room. So I kind of had a little weight at school. I was a little basketball guy, so I had a little weight. I could kind of move, move myself. So I told the lady, I'm like, look, I can't take this test in here. And she's like, what are you talking about? You can't leave this room. And I'm like, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen. But so she ended up letting me leave and get myself together by 3 times during the test because I didn't like being in confined places where I didn't have control. So it messed with me in ways that I realized when I got older. Because I'm telling you, at the time, it's like, well, that's just what it is. But now I'm like, I had anxiety. That's what that was. I didn't know.
That's the as well. So I understand completely what you're saying as far as, yeah, anxiety is a fickle creature, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because it kind of piggybacks on anger, frustration, just rage,
Right.
and all these different. It just piggybacks like, oh well, you know what? Well, I see the anger train going. Let me just piggyback.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's true. That's true.
It's sad because like at a young age, it's harder because you don't know, anything. It's like, what do you say?
Yeah. Well, with me, I didn't say, like I told you in the keynote the other night, I didn't say much. When they would get real violent, I just get up the phone and call my grandfather. I just call him, and he was the kind of grandfather that didn't come in the house. If he brought something, you had to go to his truck to get it. He was one of them old schools, like, so he would beat the side of the house, and I would open the door, and he would yell in the house, y'all stop fighting, y'all scaring that boy. But I'm getting out of here. I already got a bag packed. I'm gone. I'm already in the truck while he's talking to. And so then when I would come back home, I would get in trouble for calling him. So now it's like, don't be called this our business. Don't. And I'm like, so finally one day I just lost it. And I started throwing stuff all around. When they were arguing, every time they would get loud, I would just throw stuff. So now they're like, okay, this is affecting him. So what they would try to do after that was argue quietly. That doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to adjust it, but I can hear y'all. We, small shotgun house, walls are paper thin. I'm hearing the gritted teeth with the, I'm hearing it. And I'm like, man, I got to get out of here. My whole thing was to get out. My grandmother's house was so peaceful. I just wanted to get back over there. And I think, like you said, with the anxiety, I didn't know what it was. And since I didn't communicate or talk it, I did my schoolwork. I did what I was supposed to do. So just leave me alone. Let me do my work. Let me go home. And so, like I said earlier, the part that I really think about now as an adult, your home is supposed to be the safest place to be. Especially as a child, and for that to be so volatile all the time. So just it created a beast in me for some years. It created a beast in me for some years.
Oh wow. It's hard. It's difficult. Like some people just don't come back from that. Not well anyway. And you are blessed completely, totally. How long have you had your church?
We just celebrated our 10th year anniversary this year. We've been over for 2 years. This month, April, the first weekend in April, we started back in 2010. So we're 10 years in right now. Yes, ma'am.
Wow, that's a blessing. That is such a blessing. How many people do you have in your church?
We range between 50, 60 physical, but then we have quite a few that watch online. So we kind of had both congregations going on. It was a very small town. Both Columbus is where I live. It's 15 minutes from Eagle Lake, and the church is in Eagle Lake. But both towns together is less than 8,000 people. So we're doing well, man. We have an entrepreneurial type of view. The preschool is owned by the church. We have a couple of other businesses that we're opening up under the umbrella of the church, because I believe that we shouldn't just depend on tithes and offerings to finance the kingdom work. So I've always believed to put couple business to it to fuel the mission and what we want to do. So yes, ma'am.
That's that Virgo in you, sir. Okay. Yeah, I'm a Virgo too, so it's like, okay, let's work it out. I'm September the 13th. Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this. Now, did someone say that you were writing a book, or you should be writing a book? Is that in our future?
Well, I've published one book already. I don't even have a copy here with me. It's Pauly the Praying Pup. I actually created a praying pup. I created a praying puppy.
A praying puppy.
Yes, he actually deals with bullying. The first book I wrote, he dealt with bullying. Where is the book? Hold on. I think I got a copy here somewhere. I'll find it before we get done. I'll show it to you. But I wrote that book, and now I'm writing another book called I Believe, I Become. I'm writing that book right now. I was actually working on that last night after I taught, so that's why I couldn't get on your show last night, because I was trying to finish that last night. So it's just, I didn't know I was a writer, had no idea. You know what I mean? Who knew? But there was that lot of internalness going on. Now I understand. I've heard people talk about journaling and all that. I'm like, nah, I'm not a journaler, nah. But writing has been a very close friend to me the last 10 years. And it hasn't really been trying to write a book or book form. That book that I wrote for the children's book, I was in a depressed state at that time. My cousin, which was like my brother, we were 6 months apart, raised together almost every day. He passed unexpectedly. He had a blood clot in his leg and just traveled to his heart and dropped it in his mother's kitchen that day, just gone. And I hit a 2 months of just dark, couldn't shake it kind of place, almost literally seeing a gray cloud. I almost saw the gray cloud, you know what I mean? And I woke up Thanksgiving Day 2015, and he died August 2015, and I woke up with that story in my head. In 20 minutes, that story was written. It was about bullying. I was bullied as a child because I didn't talk, but the bully didn't know I could fight. So every bully that came at me my rage would come out because I had so much going on. So I would fight kids like I was a grown man because I had already fought my dad a couple of times, you know. So it's like, not fought him, but I've tried to do stuff to him to get him off my mother. So I didn't fight to be cool. I fought for survival. So every time I got bullied or criticized or made fun of, there was no talking from me. You know, so it was like, we're gonna go ahead and get to this. And I go ahead and get my little paddling or my little D Hall or whatever. So, those things. But yeah, I wrote that book in 2015. It was published in 2017. And it's out now. It's on Amazon, called Pauly the Praying Pup. He's here.
It's all of the oh, but no, I understand completely. Okay, so you can't draw.
No.
All right. So we can't cut hair. Okay. What else is there? Because I believe you can do more, way more than you can't, you know?
I don't know. I'm gonna say it this way. I kind of play it safe. You know, I kind of stick to what I know how to do. So I stick to what I know how to do. My first love out of everything, I think, one of my first love is music. I love music. I'm music crazy. You know, before the cousin that passed away, we actually had a studio. When we were like 19, 20 years old, we had a studio in Columbus, and we had another one in Austin where he lived. And we were doing music, but I never learned the technical side of it. I did all the promotions, the shows, the handling the artists and stuff like that. And but music is music, man. That's my first love. Music. I love music.
That's awesome. See. Okay, so I'm so intrigued, and I think this is so awesome because your story is one thing, but you're like just how you got out of it, and you got out of your own mind, and you were able to make all these things happen. It speaks volumes because like I guess I come into contact with people that say, well, if I only had, I'd be able to do something. And then it's like, what would you say to somebody like that? Because like what I usually say ain't working. So, cause I'm like, that sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Get your life together. And because I look at everyone and I say, you are the only one that's stopping you from doing anything.
Right.
If you don't make at least one step, you don't really want to do it in the first place. So you never know what that first step can lead to.
True. You nailed it with that. And I think the thing that's been helping me my dad and I keep on reiterating this. We finished great. We finished the way a father and son should finish. My uncle moved here from California, my dad died in 2016. He may have moved in maybe 05. So my dad and I, we were very vital. It was very heated at that time. I had a business. He had a business. At the time, we were partners. We broke up the partnership. I went my way. He went his way. It was just a lot of chaos going on. And my uncle, who had came from the outside, he couldn't understand, like, why are we not together as a family? What's wrong? What's going on? And I told him I can't get along with your brother, man. So what he did, we sat down and I asked him, I said, what's up with him? I don't know him. You grew up with him. Can you tell me anything? You know what I mean? That's what's up. And he broke it down to me. I think this is a very key to what you're saying about people that blame and I can't. I took time to listen to my uncle and allow him to explain my dad to me because he knew my dad from another perspective. He saw how my dad was abused as a child. I didn't know that. He saw how my dad was abused, but his dad died when he was 5. And I found out my grandmother had a different man almost every 6 months. And every man that would come into the house was abusing my dad. They wouldn't abuse the other 2 boys, they would abuse him. So it brought me some, okay, this man isn't just crazy and he just, you know what I'm saying? It's that. So what it helped me do with that, this is the point I'm getting at. It helped me, I'm gonna use this word, I just told my wife about this word this week, it came to me. I had to divorce my emotion of that situation. I had to divorce that emotion of anger, pity, rage. I had to literally divorce that emotion. I can't divorce the situation because it happened. It happened. It's in my past. But I had to go back and get those emotions that I left there. That's what made me become back whole. And when I became back whole, I started seeing life in a different perspective. I started seeing nobody owes me nothing. My dad doesn't owe me anything. If he leaves this earth and never tell me he was sorry, he doesn't owe me that. So I start looking at, I'm not indebted to people. You know what I'm saying? People don't have to come and tell me, hey, you're great. Hey, I forgive you. Can you forgive me? Hey. So I start looking at that in the perspective of everybody has gone through things. So a lot of times we're dealing with the sum total of a person's life, not just the moment that you're in. You know what I mean? If you blow up on me about leaving shoes on the floor, it wasn't the shoes on the floor. That was a total of a bunch of stuff. Okay, let's go back and see what that total was. That's what I start doing to myself. Like, yeah, I would like for somebody to just put me on, but it don't happen like that for me. You know what I mean? I gotta get up and be where I need to be, you know, and that's one of the things with me. I start asking people how they feel. It was what one lady was, I was going through some things with one of my mentors, and she was like, my wife and I were clashing bad. And I'm like, man, we're not gonna make it. This thing's rocky. We're not gonna make it. And she said, when you talk to her, is she a thinker or a feeler? I'm like, what? A thinker or a feeler? You know what I'm saying? She said, LaDell, you're heady. So you want people to ask you what you think. She's touchy-feely. She's a feeler. She said, you're going to get more from her if you ask her how she feels versus what she thinks. Because when you say think to her, she thinks she better match what you're thinking. I'm like, so I started asking her how she felt. Blah, blah, blah. It flowed. And my son is the same way. My son is the same way. He's a feeler. I'm a thinker. So when I come at them, I got to come at them with the right, what do you feel? They got to come at me, what do you think? So to wrap up what you asked about what to tell that person, divorce the excuses, divorce the emotions of the past, because those were real situations, but I can't put myself into something still married to something else.
Ooh, I'm gonna need that on a shirt, sir.
Divorce those emotions, man. That's the part that got me. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. I'm writing that one down, definitely. Divorce your emotions. Okay.
I'm stuck. I'm digging that out because I move slowly. I like to look in the depth of things because we've lived surface for so long. We've lived surface movement by waves, whatever's going on, to where we need to anchor and, stand still for a moment. Stand still for a moment and look at what's really going on. To analyze what's happening. So I've been hitting a lot on the believing. The believing all through the Bible, believing. So I'm asking myself the question right now with this new phase of life that's happening is, what do I believe? What is it that I believe? Not what I like, not what I'm interested in. What do I believe? Believe moves you into action. Interest will allow you to watch and think. Believe will move you into action. So those are a lot of things I'm hitting on right now with me personally. It's just what I'm checking my sheet. What do I really believe? What do I really believe? So that's what's going on with me right now. So it's been flowing, man. It's been flowing. It's really been flowing. So when you took a shift, you did the shift. So I'm just gonna follow your shift. You're letting him right now is all, or you letting him lead this thing. You surrendered it to him. And the thing that you're saying about him being inside of us, I don't think we really believe that sometimes. I still think we feel we got to call him from this far place to come see about me. So we're operating from a on switch, off switch, on switch, off switch. I don't think we realize sometimes that the consistency of him is a gift. Him being consistent with us. And I really, the belief factor is really blowing me away, because I think about when Jesus hit his hometown and said he couldn't do much because they didn't believe. Bottom line, the pivotal point is our belief. So that's why I was telling you earlier, I'm checking my life on what is it, do I really believe? Do I believe I'll get diabetes because my dad had it and that's what he died from? Have I agreed with that? Have I subconsciously, that's probably gonna happen to me? Have I agreed with, we're gonna live in poverty because that's where we come from? Have these things become automatic beliefs of me that I hadn't even thought about? It's just how it's gonna go. So it's like, no, I'm looking at my whole entire life, and I'm actually evaluating, what do I really believe? What do I believe? When my dad passed, he never really told me how he felt about me, Lady Myya. So he showed it in different ways. We had got real cool before he passed. But after he passed, I'm gonna share this with you, man. After he passed, my mother, there was no life insurance policy. You know how we do it. There was nothing in place. So I'm like, okay, it's okay. I need to figure out. So I have other siblings. I have 3 other siblings. He was married once. He had another lady that had a child. He never married her, but they're all older than me. I'm the baby by like 6 years gap between them. So after he passed, we went to go see my mother said, I think he had a will up at this lawyer office. I'm like, well, okay. So I take my sister, we go up there. I'm the baby. So we go in, and he said, yes, sir, your dad did have a will. He wrote it in 1998, and he never changed anything. So read it. We read it, and he left everything to me. And I'm the baby. I'm the youngest out of all of them. So I'm sitting next to my sister, and I feel the fumes coming off of her. Like, and he stated in the will, my other 3 children do not receive anything, but does not display a lack of love I have for them. I'm listening to this, and I'm sitting next to her. There always was a little rival she had with me, because when my dad he was married to my mother when he had me. He wasn't with her mom. He never was with her mom. She kind of just happened. So she always had this little tension that I never participated in. So after that, I was kind of blown away. Like, he put me as the person for his stuff, and I was just 20 years old at the time. I was right out of high school. So at the time, honestly, my dad had multiple women when he passed. So I had to kind of go around to multiple women to gather all the stuff that I needed to gather. And each one of them had the same tone of, he always talked about you. He always said you were the one. He always said, if something happened to me, call my son. If something it was all coming back to me. And I never heard him tell me those things. But while I'm gathering all of this stuff, that's what they're telling me. He told me, if something happened, call LaDell. They're going to take care of me. They're going to be the one to help me. They're going to be the one. And I'm sitting there like, so that day it hit me that this man had a love for me that he didn't know how to express. So it hit me all at once one day, and I broke down. I'm like, thank you, Lord, for a closure that's not traditional. It wasn't to stand by the bed, hold his hand as he goes, he tells me. It wasn't that. It was in the midst of chaos that I found out that he truly, truly loved me. You know what I'm saying? And he respected me to the point of where he put me over all of his stuff as the youngest of the group. And I was just 20 at the time. And at the time, 20 years old. I ain't gonna even talk about that yet. I ain't gonna talk about that.
No, I understand. Hey, 20. What's up, 20? 20, I don't think I remember much. Do I?
And with me, the thing is with me, I remember it all. That's what's scary to me. I remember it. I remember names, places, emotions, feelings. I remember all. I've divorced it, but I remember it though.
Wow. Well, that's a part of history. Wow. Dude, seriously. That is 20 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? He respected you in a way, and I'm learning this from my own father. He's still around.
Yeah, good.
Thank God. But I never really had a relationship with him. I just know him as my dad. I still don't have a relationship.
Right.
He calls me every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I'm learning, because this is how he is to my oldest sister. He gave her absolute HE double hockey sticks, okay, to
Mm-hmm.
make her strong, so
Mm-hmm.
that she was going to be the head of our family.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha, gotcha.
I mean, he taught her how to build a car from scratch at the scrapyard.
Yeah, yeah. He built her. He built her.
He built her.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so he's had prostate cancer 3 times.
Okay.
Now he has blood cancer from all the chemo,
Mm.
and he's still here.
Mm.
My sister takes care of him.
Right.
She digs in him though. She be like,
Yeah.
yo, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. But she is the strongest, I mean, built to last 4 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was jealous of her because I wanted to learn cars. She didn't want nothing to do with cars.
Gotcha.
I wanted to learn cars. Why can't I learn that? Now, he was a jack of all trades, master of absolute none. And so I wanted to learn the car, but what he taught me was how to build a room, or because when we were living with him, we had like a shack. So the back of the shack was gone.
Yeah.
So he was just like, well, if you want your own room, you got to build it. I know how to do installation. I know how to do drywall, sanding, doing all that stuff. I know how to do epoxy for the tile. I love tile. Oh, tile. Give me a wet saw, I'm good to go. But at the same time, I ended up selling cars, only to be an assistant manager for an auto repair shop. Because I was just like, oh no, I'm getting to the car thing. I got you. I'm gonna get it myself.
Right.
And find ways to do it. But that was how it had to happen. But yet and still, like, just knowing what my sister knew kind of like engaged me into what I like. I really appreciate cars and different things like that. And I met my husband at the auto repair shop.
How long have you been married? Know about you. You got a very sweet glow. You connect quick. You connect quick. You know what I'm saying? It's when I saw you on ATS, I could see your heart was right. Your heart was right. You had a search in your eye, but your heart was right. It was a searching going on, but your heart is right. And when you were talking, I heard in my heart that to tell you that you were worth every drop of blood he shed. You were worth every drop. Every drop. You were worth it. Every drop. So it's the thing I've been my wife, she had dealt with a lot of inadequacy and not feeling the thing, and I kept thinking in my heart, like, what is it? One of the main things is we consistently feel we don't deserve anything. So since I don't deserve it, I don't even pursue it. I don't look in the direction of it. I don't deserve it. So it's like, when Jesus died, how dare I tell him I don't deserve the fullness of what you did? I will not say that again. I gave you this. It's like your dad driving up to your house and Myya, I got you a new car. Here are the keys, and you argue with him and tell him how you don't deserve it, and walk back in the house and slam the door. You feel what I'm saying? It's like we do God like that all the time. He's trying to hand us things, and we're telling him how we don't deserve it, and don't bring me that because I don't deserve it because I had a bad childhood. I lied before. I stole before. I don't deserve it. He's standing there with everything you need in his hands, and we walk you back in the house and slam the door. And we feel good about rejecting the blessing.
Rejecting the blessing.
Yeah, we feel good about it. So I wanted to tell you that you're worth every drop, every drop, every drop. Yeah.
You know what? I have a heart for people, um, the focus of this was to basically help everyone. You know, there's so many times that we fall into our own selves because of the stuff that we were told, you know, coming up, or, you know, even so now, you just have all these people and all these voices in your head, and you get so, and you know, complacent because you're like, okay, well, this one wants me to do this one wants me to do that, and then, you know, before you know it, you living your life for everybody else but yourself. So I said, you know what? Why not empower them to think on their own?
They
Put your
do.
2 feet down on for the same reason you got them. The Lord blessed you with 2 feet. Why you can't go and do it on your own? You got to carry your own weight sometimes. You have to. And it's so important because it's like, I just tell people, don't stay there. You don't have to. Do better, be better. What is it that you want? Why you can't go after that? What is, you know, everybody has, oh, because there's an excuse, there's this, oh, my kids, I don't have the time. I was just like, but if you really want it, if you really want financial freedom, if you really want, you want mental freedom, why wouldn't you search for things to get you there? I say, okay, well, you don't, if you don't want it, somebody else will have.
Right, right. And I believe that's what you're doing. You're creating a lane so they can see it. You know what I mean? You know, the visionary always come first. And when you chop, you kind of have that maverick with the machete chopping down the weeds. A lot of people just not gonna go in there. They're just not until you come back and tell them it's safe to come.
Sure.
It's safe to come. So a lot of them just not. That's what my frustrations were for years, man. Like, how dare you keep saying you want something but not putting it work? So what started to happen? I started getting bitter at these people. I started getting very bitter to where I'm like, you don't want it. I'm like, LaDell, who doesn't want a better life? They do want it. I have to they want it. They don't want the journey. They don't want the work. So think about what you're doing, Lady Myya. You're setting up a situation to where you're going to go mow down the grass so they can see that they can have. The first part is convincing them that they can. And that's where you, man, you got this thing, right? Because I'm gonna tell you, your Antonio always talks about your smile and your countenance. That's where people build trust with you because your smile is genuine. Some people know how to put a smile on. You have a smile. And that's why when you ask for the interview, I'm like, yeah, I can do. She looks safe. I can go there with her. She looks safe.
You know what your life reminds me of? It reminds me of, what is it? Saul. Like, he was doing everything wrong. He wasn't doing nothing right. He couldn't get it together, and his blindness was your baby.
Just gonna let the gift flow, huh? Go ahead and let it flow. I'm gonna receive it. Go ahead and let it flow.
Because, okay, Saul was persecuting, he was doing everything he could.
Yeah.
You did everything you could. You was doing the most with the drugs and all that other stuff, or whatever, things that was actually still hurting people, because drugs do hurt people. So you are basically the modern day.
Yeah, exactly.
Saul. Exactly. So now, when your eyes were opened or finally clear, because he did blind them, then and only then were you able to prosper.
That was it.
And now look at you. Okay, prophet.
Lady, you nailed it, and you made me think of something while you were talking. And it was, like you said, after the drugs and the hustling and all that, I became friends. I had family members. I sold drugs to family members, everything. It was no, I was numb. You feel me? I was numb to the point to, if you got in the way,
that was gonna happen to you.
Yeah. It wasn't gonna be loud. It wasn't gonna be a lot of arguing and big thing. It's just gonna be done. So I did a lot of those things to where I numbed myself to a lot of stuff. So when I started getting myself together, I had a family member that was on drugs. I didn't know she was on drugs. So me and her started to get real close. And one day I found out she was. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know she was on it. Because she was functioning. She was a functioning addict. She could work. She held down things. It wasn't she was on the street. She had stuff. So one day I pull up at her house and her car is gone. So I passed by. I didn't stop. So I called. I said, I thought you told me to come by. You're not here. So I am. I'm here. I said, your van is gone. And she said, my van is gone. And she jumped up. And by the time I pulled back to her house, she was standing in the yard. And so she walked in the house and she was like, well, let's just sit out here for a while. So we sit outside on the porch. She wouldn't let me in the house. Her van was gone. And when I found out her lights was off and her vehicle had got repossessed. That was the first time I saw the other side of drugs. You see what I'm saying? That was the first time I saw, whoa. So God put me in the path of that to where he put it in my face, the part you don't see. One night I'm selling drugs it's a party. My uncle is having a party there in his house. So I'm the guy that's supplying the drugs to the house. So I just kind of hung around in the parking lot, go in when he called me. So after the party was done, I came in, I gave him some money for bringing the people. And he begins to get his pipe out, Lady Myya. And he's talking to me. And I'm trying to get out because I don't want to see it. This is one of my favorite uncles. And he's getting his pipe and I'm like, I don't want to see it. I know what I'm doing. I don't want to see it. He wouldn't let me leave. He kept talking. He kept talking and he kept talking. And he's sitting there and he's talking and I'm like, and I saw him go from my uncle to a curled up baby in the bed. Reality, just because when you don't see that side and you're numb to that side. But I knew at the time, I look back now as a 42-year-old man, God made me. You're gonna see the destruction. I'm not gonna let you just ease out of it. You're gonna see it. And I'm looking at my uncle, who's now his mouth is numb. He can't put words together. He just went from, and I saw it. A couple of months after that, I was done. That messed me up bad. With the car, then that's when I saw my cousin lose a car and all that stuff was after that. So he had me I couldn't, this wasn't some random, this is my uncle. This is my dad's brother. You're twin brother. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I couldn't, that threw me off because I was trying to get out. If you could have been, I was trying to get out of it before it happened, because I don't want that image. Yeah, that changed the game for me. When I saw that, yeah.
Look, your eyes were open, weren't they?
That's
the scales fell from your eyes, didn't they?
When you said that brought me back to that day. Like that was the day right there. Yeah, that was it.
Oh wow! See, that's why it's called the living word for a reason. Even in modern day, it's crazy because, we don't integrate. We don't relate that. We wouldn't relate that normally. But he dropped it in my spirit, and I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Okay, so in what way? What way? What you talking about?" I'm like, that makes sense. That makes sense. But you know what? Look at you. You're better for it. You're helping other people get out of the same situation. Pretty sure. Yeah. What would you say to someone that wants to kind of follow in your footsteps?
Okay. One of the things I would say, the first thing is make a decision. Nothing moves when a decision isn't made. The example I like to use is you can't just say you're hungry and then reject when people bring you food. So what happens is people will say they're hungry, but then someone brings you a pizza and then you complain about, I didn't want pizza. I'm hungry. They brought you a hamburger. I didn't want a hamburger. That's not fair. That's not accurate. So when you decide, okay, I want pizza. Now, Whataburger goes away, Burger King goes away, all those other things fall off once you make a decision. Once you make a decision that you want pizza, now your sphere of choices gets smaller. So you think Domino's, Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, Start to, well, I kind of want one that tastes this way. So you get that taste down, so you knock out other things. So now you finally have a pizza in front of you that you decided to get. I decided to get this pizza. So you were hungry, you wanted pizza, you wanted this type of. So the main thing is to wrap all that up. First, make a decision. Once you make a decision, you'll know things will know how to come to you, and you will know what to go after. The second thing, once you make the decision, you got to kick in your belief system. You have to start believing that I deserve this, believing that I can do this, believing that this is for me. So with the decision and the belief, then comes the level of faith, because faith without works is dead. So you have to, once you believe, faith is released based on your movement in your belief. So you can say you have faith, but he says, show me someone who has faith that doesn't have works. They don't have faith. So decide, believe, begin to move. Faith kicks in with your belief, and then by the time you look up, the manifestation begins to happen, because now it starts to change your language. Your language begins to draw people who speak the same language. All that stuff, your team begin to form. But the main thing, to sum all that up without going any deeper, is make a decision. Because once a decision is made, a lot of other things fall into place. Start becoming the person you want to be before you need to be that person. Don't wait till you need to be the person. Now you're trying to scrap or become the person. Become that person before it's time. Then when the time comes, you can recognize things. So I always think that we're becoming. We call human beings, not human duns and not human bins. We call human beings. I mean, we're constantly flowing. So that's what I would do. Make a decision. Start becoming who you need to be. Execute.
That is powerful, so powerful. You guys don't understand. He is the real deal, Holyfield, people. Okay, I know that's really old. I'm showing my age.
You
It's
good. You good. Right there with you.
Divorce your emotions,
Yeah.
sir, to so many, and guys wouldn't even know. Like him having the books, or at least the book coming, and I believe I've become, which is going to really, really give you guys an outline of how strong his will is for God and himself and those around him. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. You know what? I can get Mr. LaDell. I got his schedule, I think. So, you know, and if you comment, and if there's any questions that you would like to ask him, I do not mind. I will contact him, and we will get a response. So please let us know. In the description below is going to be all his information. You guys, thank you so much. Live your best life with Lady Myya.